All right, guys, fantasy football season is already among us, and I'm so excited because we are going to be going over players that you need to avoid. Do not fall for the trap. Don't fall for the big names. I'm here to help you out. But before we do that, if we are meeting for the first time, my name is Ivan Herrera. I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm passionate about fantasy football. So let's get into it right away. Here's the thing. Breece Hall. I get it. He is extremely talented. He had a phenomenal rookie campaign. Granted, it was cut short, but from weeks 1 through week 6, he actually was the RB6 in total fantasy points. And not only that, he was number 1 in juke rate. He was number 1 in yards per touch, and he was 2nd in breakaway run rate. And he is someone that found his stride after having a very slow start. But the thing is, unfortunately, he had his season cut short because he tore his ACL. Now, the bad news isn't that he's not going to be available. All indications are showing that he should be ready to go by week 1. However, my main concern is what a running back is able to do their first season being removed from an ACL injury. There's a great piece that I'm going to be sourcing here in this video about what typically happens with a running back who comes back from a knee injury like the one that Breece Hall had compared to what happens the second year that he has been removed from that injury. And what this article broke down was that you'll see here in this piece is from 4 for 4, and it talks about how the productivity of a second-year running back coming from a knee injury increases drastically, but we are now entering a season where we are not even a year removed from the injury that Breece Hall suffered last year. And I get it. The Jets have done so many great improvements within their offensive line. They also added Aaron Rodgers in the mix, plus we expect to see strides with Garrett Wilson to really open up that offense. But my thing is, right now, he's currently being drafted at his ceiling, which is something that, of course, that you need to be very mindful of. Currently, his ADP has him going 30th overall, which means you have to invest a second-round price tag. And in that range, there are so many other options I would much rather go with, considering there is so much risk going with Breece Hall in 2023. Now, the next running back I'm going to have you be mindful of is going to be running back Stevenson. I was extremely excited after hearing that David Harris signed with the Buffalo Bills because I naturally assumed now all these touches are going to go to Stevenson and the breakout season is going to be among us. However, you're going to have to want to take a pause on that because New England has historically been a running back by committee kind of offense. And the thing is, when you look deeper, there's this tweet that I absolutely love that I'm going to be sharing with you guys that comes from Dr. Jesse Morris. And he talks about how he isn't sold on Stevenson. And a lot of it is because last season his success came from how efficient he was. Now, in short, the top 15 running backs in fantasy last season averaged a total touch count of 305, whereas then Stevenson last season had only 278, which means that he was extremely efficient, which of course made him be the running back 8 last season. And that's my main concern is, yes, he was efficient last season, making him the RB8 in fantasy, but that is something that you do not want to rely on going into this upcoming season, considering that there are still so many concerns with the current running back situation that is there in New England that I believe will still get involvement with guys like Montgomery as well as Pierre Strong. Currently, his ADP is mainly one of the reasons why I'm a little bit concerned, because right now he's going as the RB10. Overall, he's going 27th off the board, which means you would have to invest on getting Stevenson at a second-round cost, and that seems too high for me. Now, after you pass on Stevenson, make sure to also pass on this wide receiver, and that's going to be Traylon Burks out of the Tennessee Titans. Traylon Burks was part of that trade that sent A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles, and in turn, they got a first-round pick that they ended up using on drafting Burks. However, he wasn't as great as they had hoped. The thing is, last season he was 99th in total route wins and also was 35th in route win rate, so he was not getting the separation that we saw him get in college. Aside from that, he also has DeAndre Hopkins joining that wide receiver room, which naturally is going to be taking away targets away from Traylon Burks. And also, this is a very run-heavy offense that also has what Pro Football Focus has ranked the 32nd, which means it is the worst offensive line in the NFL. And again, it all boils down to the ADP. Currently, he's going as the wide receiver 40, and overall, he's going 94th off the board, which means he's costing you a 7th to 8th round draft cost. And with the other players available at that range, I would easily punt on Burks and go for those options. Another wide receiver you're going to want to keep your eyes on is one that's going really early off the board, and that's going to be Keenan Allen out of the Los Angeles Chargers. I have been a fan of Keenan Allen for so long. Unfortunately, the main reason why I'm not so big on him is, number one, there is a lot of weapons now added into that offense, and really, quite frankly, he's also aging. And the main area that we tend to see where age actually plays a factor in the wide receiver is whether or not they can get separation. And that is something that we are seeing go down slowly with Keenan Allen. With Keenan Allen, he has benefited from getting high usage. Over the past few seasons, Keenan Allen has been really great as far as getting a lot of targets, which bodes well for his fantasy production. Now, there's two things that concern me. Last season, in 2022, Keenan Allen was 99th in route win rate. And also, he's going to be 31 entering this season. With the ADP of Keenan Allen, currently having him going as the 19th wide receiver off the board, having him going 44th overall, you are investing somewhere between the 3rd and 4th round just to have Keenan Allen. And I would much rather go for other wide receivers such as Terry McLaurin or DJ Moore that are going after him in drafts. Before we go any further, be sure to hit that like button if you're getting value in this video. This last player that you are going to want to avoid in 2023 is going to be running back Alexander Madison. Before any of you Vikings fans come after me, I get it. Madison has been one of those guys where you can actually draft him as a handcuff and feel really confident if something was to happen to Dalvin Cook, Madison could carry the load and be very efficient. But one thing I need you to understand, that's a very small sample size. And what we're seeing too is that he's not a naturally explosive running back. And he also is someone that hasn't been really efficient the last couple seasons. For starters, if you just look at his workout metrics when he came into the league, he really wasn't wowing anybody with his explosiveness. And you also want to take notice that last season, he was ranked 57th in yards created. And he also was 39th in that same metric in 2021. And again, the main thing for me, as always, among all these players that we're going to be passing up on is going to be what they're going to cost you. Currently, right now, his ADP has him going as the 20th running back off the board. It currently has him 66 overall, and that for me is too high considering there are other options. And if you look at who is there being drafted around his range, I would much rather go with Rachaad White, Cam Akers, as opposed to going with Alexander Madison, who's going to be the RB1 in Minnesota. Hey guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you are looking to level up your strategy game for fantasy football, check out these videos I have right here, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much once again. Keep it 100 and continue being great.